Not all luxury makeup is worth the price tag, but for me, these are the best of the best. Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Carmel, and in today's video, I'm taking you through my #1 product in every single makeup category for high-end and luxury. Some of these choices were really easy, but some of them have literally kept me up at night. So if you want to hear which ones made the cut, then please do keep on watching. Let's start with what I think is the most boring but necessary category, and that's eyebrows. I have no eyebrows, so I have to use a brow pen, and it's an absolute no-brainer what my #1 is. It's been my #1 for about 5 years now, and nothing can ever take its place. It is the Glossier Brow Flick. I use this in black, and this gives me the most realistic fine hair strokes. I have been through probably about 7 billion of these. Not that they don't last long, but just because I never deviate from this product. And the thing that I love the most about it is that it is so no budge. It's transfer proof, it's waterproof, it's everything proof. This allows me to fake brows that I do not have. And I've tried so many brow pens in my life, but nothing comes close to this one. My original Holy Grail eyebrow pencil from high end was the Huda Beauty Faux something. I can't remember what it was called now. It was the Huda Beauty eyebrow pencil, and she discontinued it. I don't know why she had to break my heart like that, but she did. So I replaced it with this, which is the Benefit Precisely Brow Detailer. This is the one that is micro, so it's very, very fine. Now I have a love-hate relationship with this because I have to treat it so kindly, because if you press hard in any which way, it's going to snap on you. But there's no brow pencil that has even come close to this. It is so fine. It's very, very smooth, but not too smooth, if that makes sense. You know, a lot of eyebrow pencils just don't allow me to fill in as precisely as I'd want, but this really does just tick the boxes. As for brow holding products, there's not really many that I love from high end. I prefer a waxy type formula, so my favorite is from the drugstore. However, if I had to pick one from high end, it would have to be the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Freeze Gel. I do like this Benefit as well. That would have been my #1 up until this year, but this Brow Freeze Gel, I could take it or leave it when I first used it, but it's definitely grown on me. And the reason that I love this is because it literally holds the brows in place all day. I mean, they are not going to move, and the eyebrows don't feel heavy, they don't feel sticky. The only thing that I don't like about these gels is that they do leave my eyebrows looking a little bit shiny, which I don't love, but I'll take that over my eyebrows staying in place. I mean, not that I have any eyebrows, but you know, the few that I do have. This is the mini, but obviously you can get it in full size. But yeah, I would say this is definitely my favorite holding product from high end. So we'll move on to the complexion now, and in the description box I always leave my details. So just really quickly, I'm 42, I've got dry skin and an olive undertone. So when we're going to the primer category, honestly, I don't use a specific primer. I don't feel like I need to. So for me, hydrating my skin, using a good moisturizer, getting as much hydration into my skin as possible is key for me. So this is generally my primer for every day. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. It's a 3-in-1, it's a moisturizer, it's a primer, it's an SPF. I don't rely on this for my SPF, but this just leaves my skin hydrated, glowy, perfect for makeup. And believe me, I have tried to find dupes, and there's lots of moisturizers that I do love. Oh, I hate that I love this, but I do. It's my #1. It's my ride or die. I can't use anything else but that. I just love it. But if we are talking specific primers, I would choose this from Vieve. This is the Vieve Super Skin Nova Primer. This is actually a hybrid. It's a moisturizer and a primer, and I really, really adore this. So this is perfect for normal to dry skin. I mean, I don't see a problem in someone with more oilier skin using it because it's not greasy at all. It definitely sinks into the skin, but it provides a really smooth base for your makeup. It leaves your skin looking brighter and more radiant. It increases the longevity of your makeup and just overall improves the appearance of your skin. This is an absolutely gorgeous product. The only thing that I don't like about it is the fragrance. So you're either going to love it or hate it. I don't like it. It doesn't irritate my skin, but I just wish they'd do a fragrance-free version. That would be absolutely ideal. Moving on to my #1 foundation, and it's a no-brainer. It's the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. This has been my #1 for years, and honestly, I have a lot of foundations that I adore, that I love, but this is just, it's everything. everything. I wear this in the shade 210 and it comes in a whopping 51 shades. And I think that is fantastic. I would be very surprised if you were not able to find your correct shade in this foundation. So as I said, it's a good medium coverage foundation, never looks heavy, never looks cakey. It is extremely weightless and I feel like it hydrates my skin all day long. So it gives me a solid medium coverage and it gives me the finish that I love. So it's not super dewy, but it's not matte or satin. I'd say this is a luminous, radiant finish foundation. And it's my most complimented foundation. It doesn't sit into lines, it doesn't emphasize texture, and oh my goodness, this lasts all day, no matter what base I use with it, no matter what powder I use with it. It never lets me down. If I want a foundation that's going to make my skin look healthy and it's going to give me the finish that I desire, it's this. And it would take something extremely special to knock this off the top spot because, yeah, it ain't going anywhere. It's my number one. Now, I also want to share my number one skin tint, and it is this from Lisa Eldridge, the Seamless Skin Enhancing Skin Tint. Can I just say, I love Lisa Eldridge, love her products, but her products are expensive, and I generally like her packaging. But there's been a couple of items I bought where, look at this, the writing has come off. And I think that's poor, actually, because I class Lisa Eldridge as a luxury brand. Now, that does not affect the performance of the skin tint at all, not even a little bit. But I think if you're paying for luxury, I don't expect the writing to come off. And the same thing happened to my concealer pencils. Look, all the writing came off. I just don't think that should happen with a luxury brand. Just my opinion. Anyway, the actual skin tint. People have been telling me to try this since it was released. I put off getting this for ages, but when I got this a few months ago, it was immediately love on first application. I cannot tell you how absolutely flawless this leaves my skin looking. This is the perfect amount of coverage between a skin tint and a foundation. So I wear this in the shade T8 and you can apply this with your fingers, which I usually do on the channel, but I'll apply this with a brush. It gives some coverage, it evens everything out, and it just gives the most beautiful finish. And the best thing about this skin tint is how well it lasts. When it dries down, it's not going anywhere. And I did not expect that from a skin tint. I don't have high expectations when it comes to skin tints. This is literally flawless. It's probably the best skin tint I've ever used in my whole entire life. And I would take it every single day over her foundation. So yeah, absolute holy grail status for this skin tint. It really is everything they say it's going to be. So my number one colour corrector is definitely this from Bobbi Brown. This is the Skin Corrector Stick. And obviously you don't just have to use this under your eyes. You can use it absolutely anywhere where you need a little bit of dark correcting. So if you want to use it on hyperpigmentation, you can. Any areas around the face will do. I have this in the shade Peach and it really is super creamy, but not too creamy. You know, sometimes things can be a little bit too emollient, but this just cancels out my darkness so beautifully. It remains lightweight. It stays there all day. It really is a fantastic colour corrector. And I've tried quite a few at this stage, but I always come back to the Bobbi Brown. And they have a really, really good range of colours. And, you know, there's a reason why this is one of the most popular colour correctors out there. It performs so incredibly beautifully. This next category was the category that I have found the most troubling because I found it impossible to pick just one concealer that I absolutely adore because I love so many. So I have very, very problematic under eyes, very thin, very dry, very crepey, very dark, very veiny. The list goes on. Some days I want full coverage. Some days all I want is hydration. I'm not so bothered about coverage. Some days I just want a concealer that I don't have to think about at all. I have to share a couple for this category. This is a new concealer this year and it's the IT Cosmetics Do It All Concealer. This is one of the best concealers that I've ever used for concealing my darkness. It really is do it all because it neutralizes the darkness under my eyes but gives me coverage. However, it's a very hydrating concealer. And for that reason, although it lasts really well, it's not going to have the staying power of a full coverage concealer. But I would say that that is maybe a medium coverage. I really like this from Estee Lauder, the Double Wear Concealer. This is a concealer that I use when I need something extra. This sets down and stays there. It gives an amazing amount of coverage, and it's one of the most crease-free concealers I've ever used. However, I think if you don't prep your eyes properly with this, then you could run into trouble. You have to make sure your eyes are hydrated and ready to receive this. But it's not my day-to-day concealer. I don't need this every single day. So there's lots more concealers that I love. The Natasha Denona concealer, I adore that. I really like the Haus Labs concealer and the Tower 28. But if I had to pick just one concealer that is my everyday concealer that I don't have to think about, that gives me hydration, that doesn't crease and that lasts all day, it's going to be the Fenty Wear Even Hydrating Concealer. Everything about this concealer is amazing. Now, it's not full coverage. I would say it's medium, but you can build it up. And no matter how much you build up this concealer, it never ever looks cakey. It doesn't sit into my lines, and it continues to hydrate my under eyes throughout the course of the day. This is a concealer that I would call dependable. It was one that I kept coming back to, and I have to say that if I had to pick one out of every single concealer, I think I would probably go for this one because it's so dependable. But I still love the others, so that's not taking anything away from the others. I still adore them, but I just keep coming back to this one every time. While we're talking concealers, I did want to mention this from NARS, Soft Matte Concealer. This is my #1 concealer for covering blemishes on the face. This is in the shade Custard. I love this. It is very versatile. It's great for covering any kind of blemish on the skin, but you can use it under your eyes as well if you go in very minimally. It's a product that I think people do not talk about, but it's literally one of the best, and it will genuinely last you forever. My favourite contour has been my favourite for years now, and it is the Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick. I still have my mini, so it's available in mini and full size, and I've still not had to purchase the full size yet. It lasts forever. So I think contour can be tricky, you know, sometimes they can look too grey, sometimes they can look too muddy, and honestly, a lot of the time I will just opt for bronzer rather than going in with contour as well. But when I want to look extra snatched, I will go in with contour. I mean, there's just no doubt this will always be my #1. So application, the blendability, the shade range, I have the shade Biscuit. It blends in and it looks like your bone structure. And that's what you want from a contour. We are moving on to bronzer now, and we're going to cover powder and cream. I love the Charlotte Tilbury cream bronzer. I love the Too Faced bronzing stick. However, my #1 has to be this by Makeup by Mario. It's the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer, and I have this in the shade Light to Medium. This is one of the best makeup discoveries I ever made. When it says it's a skin enhancer, I don't think there's a more aptly named product out there. It really does enhance your skin. It literally just sinks into your skin and gives you the most flawless finish. Is it the most long-wearing product? On me, yes. I think if you had more oily or combo skin, probably not. You might think this would disappear. For me, there's just nothing that comes close. For something that gives me a beautiful bronzed look, it still looks natural, it's hydrating, would never be cakey. I just think this is a product you could never ever mess up. It really is one of my favourite makeup products of all time. Now, as for powder bronzers, honestly, I'm not the biggest fan. I have to say, I do love the Hourglass bronzers that I have in the palette. They are gorgeous, but they are in a palette. But there's only one powder bronzer that I really reach for, and it's this one from Victoria Beckham. This is her bronzing brick. So this is actually a contour and a bronzer, really. So this doesn't look like it would suit my skin tone at all, but it's very deceiving. This is the shade 02. And, well, first of all, the actual presentation of this would knock anybody's socks off. It's called a brick. It feels like a brick. It's super heavy, weighty. It has that lovely Victoria Beckham tortoise shell packaging. Everything about it screams luxury, and it's also refillable. But I really do like the contour in here, and I love the bronzer. It's extremely natural looking, and for someone who like me, is a little bit of a powder hater, I really like this. If I'm going out somewhere on a night out, I'm not choosing the Makeup by Mario. I'm choosing this because I know it will look flawless and it will last me all day, all night. It's an absolutely stunning, stunning product. And really, it is the only powder bronzer that I ever want to reach for. We're talking blush now, which is probably my favourite category. I love blush. I love blush. I can't get enough blush in my life. It's quite a problem, actually. You won't be surprised to know that my preference is cream blush. However, I'm going to split the blush into categories. So cream, liquid, powder. So my favourite liquid blush is going to be the Armani Cheek Tints. This is the shade Delicate Mauve, and it really is absolutely flawless, and it has the most longevity in any liquid blush I've ever used. So it applies beautifully, it blends like a dream. Liquid blush is usually the first thing to disappear on my face, but this is not. And I'd say this gives a really good amount of coverage. A lot of liquid blushes are a little bit sheer, but this has a good medium coverage. And yeah, there's just nothing negative I can say about this. It really is worth those few extra pennies. And what I love about this is the amount of product you get. I know that people think Armani is really expensive, but you get so much product with these. There's 12 ml of product in here. I've said this before, but with the e.l.f. liquid blushes, you only get 4 ml. So you need to take that into consideration. And this formula, I think it's really user-friendly. So not too pigmented, but pigmented enough that you get the payoff. Just beautiful. Now, my favourite cream blush is one of the newer blushes to me. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Unreal Blush Healthy Glow Sticks. I really am in my cream blush era at the moment. I will say I have other cream blushes that are coming really close to this. So, for example, I love the new Dior blush sticks. And I've also been testing the Rhode Pocket Blush. This is also absolutely gorgeous. But every time I put the Charlotte Tilbury cream blush on, I'm amazed. I'm just amazed at how it looks, how it feels, how it blends. Just quite literally perfection in a blush. I have 4 shades of the cream blush. I don't know where the other one's gone, but I think my favorite is Cherry. I've got Rosy Glow on today because it just matches my makeup better. But if I was to choose any of the shades, I would say Cherry Glow. It's a shade that I didn't think I'd like, but it's everything. It's gorgeous. And when it comes to powder blush, it's going to be this from Say. And I know people will be surprised at this because I have tried a lot of beautiful powder blushes this year. The YSL definitely comes a close second, and it really is absolutely gorgeous. And it lasts so well. But I don't know whether it's because the shade that I got in this Say Super Suede powder blush, this shade Mia, I don't think it could be any more perfect. Now, I will say it doesn't look like it does online. It definitely comes out looking a little bit more, there's a little bit of peach in here maybe somewhere, but my goodness, the formula is not drying at all. It doesn't emphasize any of the wrinkles on my face. It really is my #1 powder blush, and it's actually not that expensive either. The only thing you can say about this is it doesn't look luxury, of course. It's plastic, there's no mirror, but I'm not bothered about that. It just makes it easier for traveling for me. But yes, this is definitely my #1 powder blush at the moment. I think it's just divine. Genuinely, I'm not the biggest highlighter fan. I literally only use it if I'm going somewhere special. And that's pretty rare these days. But the reason that I don't wear it as much is because I have rosacea and I've been getting flare-ups more often recently. So it means that I have texture on my cheeks. So because of that reason, I use it very minimally. But there's one highlighter that I bought recently and it literally becomes one with your skin. This is the Dior Backstage Glow Face Palette. So this is supposed to be a face palette, so bronzer, blush, and highlighters. I mean, I have used this as a blush and I have used this as a bronzer, but obviously they are highlighters, so they are illuminating. But what I love about these is they're not glittery and they're absolutely not chunky. They really are the perfect consistency that you would want from a highlighter, especially if you have more mature skin. So obviously you can use these on the face, you can use them as eyeshadow, you can use shades like this in the inner corner. Yeah, absolutely beautiful palette. And there's a reason why people talk about this so much, why they love it so much. I really do think you get your money's worth, but you need to like glowy, you need to like illuminating products to love this. I think there's a time and a place for it, but when it's time for it, it looks absolutely stunning. Moving on to eyes now, my favourite eyeshadow primer is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. So you can get full size, you can get a smaller size as well. Honestly, I don't always use an eyeshadow primer. If I'm going out and I need my eyeshadow to last, obviously I will do. But luckily, I don't have oily eyelids, so I don't really have the problem where my eyeshadow doesn't really last. But this is absolutely fantastic. It helps your eyeshadow to last, but it also helps to make your eyeshadow pop as well. So there's lots of benefit to using an eyeshadow primer over concealer on your eyes. I've got a lot of eyeshadow palettes that I truly love, but there's one that I would choose over every single other eyeshadow palette, and it's the I Need a Nude from Natasha Denona. I love Natasha Denona, I love her formulas, but there's just something about this eyeshadow palette. And even though I don't really use a lot of palettes these days because my preference is really one and done eyeshadows because I'm lazy, but when I sit down and I want to create some sort of eyeshadow look, this will always be my go-to. So it is a cool toned palette, but I think it's really versatile. So if you're looking for something that's everyday, that isn't going to be dramatic, then you go for this. Or if you want something that's really, really glam, go for this. Any of these shimmers, which are insane by the way, I think this palette contains her best shimmers. I really do. And a lot of these are total one and done eyeshadow looks. So you are really getting your money's worth with this. There's also a great balance between mattes and shimmers. You know, some of them are really nice toppers, but some of them have the most insane impact. I absolutely adore this. I have done since it was released, and it would take something really, really special to knock this palette off my top spot. It would be really strange if I did this video and I didn't mention one and done eyeshadows because they are my go-to on a regular basis. So I'm going to talk about two because I didn't know which one to choose. So one of my favorite one and done shadows are these from Charlotte Tilbury. These are the Eyes to Mesmerize. These are an absolutely insanely beautiful formula. Very, very moussey, extremely beautiful and easy to blend. They come in a really good range of shades and people don't really talk about them very much. They can be used as a primer for your eyes, and I feel like they are absolutely perfect for mature eyelids because they contain vitamin E, so they're very, very hydrating without being greasy and without being too emollient. Once they set down, they stay all day. If you look back through my videos right back to the beginning of my channel, you'll see me talking about the Eyes to Mesmerize. But there's one and done eyeshadow in one particular shade that I use all the time because it's just the perfect everyday shade, and it's a one pot shadow from Chanel, and this is in the shade Undertone, and you can see it's just that perfect kind of neutral bronze, and it is perfection. Now, well, I say it's perfection. I'm going to say one thing about this. It's a really dry formula. It's very hard to see on a swatch because I'm a little bit tanned. So I'm going to show you me popping this on. So this shade Undertone is the perfect everyday shade, and it blends beautifully. It's completely weightless and it sticks there all day. I just wish that they were a little bit more creamy. They feel really satin-like rather than creamy, and sometimes I do have to spray some hydrating mist into this just to wake it up a little bit, but no matter how many times I've sprayed this, it never affects the formulation of it. It really is the perfect eyeshadow, apart from the fact that it's such a dry formula and it can feel dry in the pot. If it didn't, it would be true perfection. So yeah, it would feel weird if I didn't mention one and done eyeshadows, but if I had to choose, those would be on par. I don't wear a lot of eyeliner. It's just not my jam. I used to wear it all the time. I'm just in a space now where I just don't feel like I want to use it. But if I do use it, I'm going to be using this from Victoria Beckham. This is the Satin Kajal eyeliner, and I have this in the shade Cocoa, which is a brown. This is the most creamy eyeliner ever. And that's what you want in a kohl. You want an eyeliner that you can smudge out. I don't think I'd use this to do a wing because I think it would smudge too much. I'll just use this and tightline a little bit, and that just gives me everything that I need. The only thing I'd say to you is I went through a phase a few months ago where it was really struggling to sharpen and I was losing a lot of the product and I was a bit mad about it. So I did email Victoria Beckham customer service, and honestly, I wasn't that impressed with the customer service. They basically told me to pop it in the fridge for 5 to 10 minutes and then sharpen it, which I did, and that did help. But why do I need to put my eyeliner in the fridge? Like, really, I know that if I'd have emailed Lisa Eldridge customer service over something like that, they would have been far more helpful than what they were. So I would say just be careful because it's really creamy. If you're wanting precision, I wouldn't go for something like this. But for me, all I want is a bit of a tight line. It's perfect. Mascara is a tricky category for me because although I have a ton of high-end mascaras, my go-to is the drugstore for mascara. Despite that, I do have a lot of high-end mascaras that I do really like, from Dior, from Chanel, from Armani. Armani do some incredible mascaras, but I don't have any on me now because I don't really buy high-end that much anymore. However, one high-end mascara that is completely reliable that I can use every day or I can use going out, and it is definitely my favorite at the moment. It is the Swede Cloud Mascara. So I have this and I have the other Swede mascara. Is it called Lash Lift? That is really, really good. But the actual wand on that is a little bit tricky to use. This is perfect for me who's lazy, who just wants to apply one coat of mascara and not have to worry about it during the day. So no flaking, no transferring, it doesn't budge, it maintains the lift that it gives you, and it's really, really easy to remove, and because that's a really, really important point for me. So yeah, I would ordinarily go to the drugstore for mascaras, but for me, my number one from high end is definitely this Swede Cloud Mascara. It is just that all-round mascara. It gives me length, it gives me volume, it just ticks every box that I need it to tick. Lip liners are also another category where I generally gravitate towards the drugstore. They do my favourite lip liners. But I did take some time to really think about this. And I love the Rare Beauty Kind Words lip liner. My favourite shade is Worthy. I enjoy the Rare Beauty lip liners so much. They're super creamy, but not too creamy. And they have a twist up application, which is what I would prefer from all of my lip liners. It just makes life so much easier because you don't waste or lose any product. But there is a lip liner that I bought recently, which I thought was too expensive for what it was. But I have been reaching for it so much, and I think it's a product that I wanted to hate. And I do think it's overpriced, but it's become something that I'm finding myself wanting to use every single day. And it's this one from Westman Atelier. It is the Lip Shape Lip Liner. I think this was about €30, which blows my mind, but it's really, really nice. Yeah, I mean, look, do I think that it stops my lipstick from bleeding or feathering? Not really. Is it really flattering on my thinner lips? Yeah, it is. It's really creamy and it has great longevity as well. Now, not the most longevity I've ever had in a lip liner, but there's just something about it that I can't stop using it. And it's just the easiest thing to apply. And I don't know whether it's the shade. This is the shade Petal. It's just become a real go-to. Even though I don't want to love it, I really, really do. Lipsticks was really hard for me, and I need to acknowledge 2 lipsticks. So I prefer a hydrated finish. I like matte. I wear them on occasion, but I prefer something like this. Something that is going to be hydrating, but not glossy or sticky. So I've spoken about these several times. These are the Dior Addict Hydrating Shine lipsticks. These are refillable. Absolutely gorgeous. Yes, they are going to be more expensive because they are Dior, but I can tell you that you would be stuck to find anything that feels as nice as these on your lips, and they still give pigment. They're hydrating, non-sticky, just everything that I'd want in a lipstick. But I think if I had to pick one lipstick above every single lipstick and a specific shade as well, it would have to be this MAC Luster Glass lipstick in the shade Hug Me. No matter what makeup I'm wearing, Hug Me seems to complement it. And the formula, I've spoken about the Luster Glass formula very much on my channel, so you can go and watch videos dedicated to MAC lipsticks. It feels very similar to the Dior. I would say the difference between these two is this is more of a traditional lipstick, so you're going to get more coverage with the MAC Luster Glass, whereas you still get coverage with these, you still get pigment, you still get colour. It borders on feeling more of a lip balm than a lipstick, whereas this is your traditional lipstick. Obviously, it's very, very flattering, it's hydrating, it's shiny, it's not sticky, it has great longevity, well, until you eat or drink, as with any shiny lipstick. Yeah, it's just my go-to, it's my holy grail, it's something that I don't have to think about, and yeah, I would have to choose this over every single other lipstick. It's just the one. So my favorite powder. Now, my favorite loose powder used to be this. It's the Givenchy Prisme Libre, and it still is my favorite. But as we know, this actual formula doesn't exist anymore. I have love for a lot of loose powders, to be honest with you. But if I had to choose one that I would choose over all of them, it would have to be the Huda Beauty Easy Bake. Now, I have this in the shade Pound Cake. It's always been the powder that I can turn to, that I can rely on. And what I like about this is it doesn't just set your makeup in place, it does give you a little bit of coverage as well. And I think that's why people love this, because it sets your makeup in place, it sets your concealer without looking heavy, without looking cakey. It just evens everything out, and it really is something that's going to make your concealer last all day. If you look back through my videos, it's something that I've always used. Easy Bake really is a classic, and it's popular for a reason. It's amazing. Now, I don't use a whole lot of powder on my face, but I will powder my T-zone if I'm going out somewhere and I need my makeup to last. And there's only one pressed powder that I ever use, and it's by a brand that people never talk about, and it's Florasis. This is the Florasis You're Wrong Airbrushed Tinted Pressed Powder. So I have this powder in a few different compacts. If you don't know anything about Florasis, they have the most beautiful, luxurious makeup, and the packaging is just everything. The way they present their products is just insane. So I have this in the shade Lotus, and I can tell you that I have the Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder, which is really, really nice. I do enjoy that powder. I think it's lovely. I can understand why everybody loves it, but nothing comes close to this powder. This will set my makeup in place, and it will literally be invisible on my skin. So it will blur, it will set, it will give me a beautiful airbrushed look to the skin, and it will never look heavy. You do not look like you've got powder on when you are using this. It really is as top tier as you're going to get. Finishing off with setting spray, and I know you're not going to be surprised at this. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrushed Flawless Setting Spray. This hydrates my skin, it makes my makeup last, it melts everything together, it ticks every single box. You can use it as a primer, a finishing spray, a setting spray. This is so multifunctional, and it does come in a mini as well if you don't want to commit to the full size. It does have a fragrance to it, which I don't really care for, but everything else I really care for. If I want security in my makeup, I'm going for this every single time. So please do let us know, what high-end luxury makeup products do you think are definitely worth the money? We would love to hear all about them down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I so appreciate you being here with me. I'm really looking forward to seeing you in the next video. But until then, take care and bye for now.